Welcome in to another episode of the My Two Bits Gators Football Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, joined as always by your other host, Mr. Randy. Randy, how's your depression? Have you recovered from the tragic defeat?
I've recovered. I've
Yeah,
recovered. You
me
know
too.
what? It as tough as it was. I know we're gonna get into it here in a little bit, but as tough as it was, based off of how the season started, quite
Yep.
pleased with. Obviously, I thought we could have gone a lot further, but hey, compared to where we started and to where we ended up, it was what it was. Great season, a salvageable season nonetheless. Call it that.
Yeah.
And now we shift our efforts in 11 days, of course, to spring football. Yay rah, yay
Yes,
rah,
indeed.
yay rah.
Well said. Well said on that. Definitely some exciting times. It's always fun in the spring to get this. It's like a little teaser there in between, of course,
The
in the off season,
teaser.
and then we go into the long haul of summer, but we won't talk about that right now. We'll focus
No,
on the
sir.
positives here. All right. So with
Absolutely.
that, let's talk a little spring football here. We'll get onto our agenda for tonight. Rounding out the spring roster is going to be what we're talking about here, and we're just going to break some things down. So we'll talk about it. As always, get started with our intro, our mission, our accuracy disclaimer, our vision, and our agenda. Our mission is to provide factual analysis of all things Florida Gator football. Our accuracy disclaimer is that our information will be accurate to the best of our possible ability. We will cite our sources whenever we use them, and all statistical data comes from either ESPN or stats.ncaa.org, and recruiting data comes from on3.com. Our vision is to have unfiltered conversation around the product on the field, as well as recruiting and overall coaching decisions. Our analysis will be based on review of film, and while we will express opinion, that opinion should always be based in some form of fact. We will also evaluate strategy and tactics and discuss our observation and player personnel decisions, as well as on-the-field execution. All right, so for agenda tonight, we will hit a quick basketball update to start things off, as you mentioned. We will then get into some additional spring intel we have since the last pod, really just revolves around the recent first scrimmage. And then we will talk about the projected two deep by position group, and we will explain that a little further when we get there. But basically, we're only going to talk about who we think the potential. Well, I shouldn't say potential starter because that's like I said, we'll talk about it when we get there. But we're just going to go too deep at every position. We're not projecting a starter because this staff has been very clear about the fact that they are not doing that yet. That everything is up for grabs, and I think they mean it. So yes, that's what's going to look like. So get us kicked off. Talk to us about week ago Sunday, excuse me, and this kerfuffle with the corn in Iowa and what happened. Break it down.
Do we have enough time for that? I'm
Uh,
kidding. I'm kidding.
yeah, we'll
Um,
we won't go too in depth for sure.
yeah. Um, here are a couple of key takes I have from that loss, right? So we scored 72 points, under what we should have scored based off the season average. That was what it was. Field goals, 23 for 46, 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 3-point field goals, 6 of 19 for 31.6%. Just under, right? The main struggle with this team was live by the three, die by the three. We were struggling to get to 30% coming into the tournament. So was what it was. Free throws, 20 of 27, 74%. Rebounds. I'm going to pause here for a second.
Yeah, pause is
27
right.
rebounds,
Yeah,
9 offensive, 18 defensive.
yeah,
Let that number sink in compared to what we averaged on the season.
yeah,
Okay? In the 40s, folks.
yeah.
In the 40s. Turnovers, 11. So let me go through now an individual player breakdown. Alex Condon, 21 points, 5 boards, 7 assists. Tommy Haw, 19.6 boards, 2 assists. Xavier Lee, 17 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Boogie Fland, 7 points, 2 boards, 4 assists. Urban, the other Urban, 5 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. Isaiah Brown, 3 points, 2 boards. Micah Handlogden, 0 points, 3 rebounds. Ruben Chinyelu, 0 points, 1 rebound,
Yeah,
4 fouls.
yeah, that one's shocking.
Never could get going, no rhythm. I mean, at the end of the day, Xavier kept us in the first half to at least keep us within striking distance. Coming out of half, you really thought we were going to make a run. Did not make that run. Felt like we came out flat. And at the end of the day, we got out hustled on several plays. I'm going to keep the officiating out of it. got out hustled on several plays. And here's another key stat: points in the paint. Iowa 32, Florida 30.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
Okay,
absolutely
and
nuts.
right, for as decent as we were defensive, when as decent as we were defensively, when we gave Iowa the open looks, they hit them, especially that last three-pointer by Figueroa.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure.
full Garius. I apologize there, Alvaro. So it
Yeah.
is what it is. I don't believe the better team won that night. Clearly, the better
No.
team did not win that night. But like a lot of people would want to say, the Gators were not the best team last year against Houston and a couple of other teams. But guess what? It is what it is. They learned from it. I firmly believe if we had established the post earlier on and we had better ball rotation and not to mention didn't give up, or I'm sorry, didn't settle for some outside shots, I believe we would have gotten into a better rhythm because clearly Iowa knew what to do. And this is what was tough for me seeing Todd getting a little bit out etched there, playing chess. So
Oh
very
yeah.
tough way to end the season. And uh and that's my 2 cents, B.
Yeah, it's fair. I would say that first and foremost, I'm not sure that I totally agree with you about the better team stuff from last year. I mean, Houston, you could argue, but we were third in KenPom last year. Um, and Houston was the only team above us, and they were barely above us. So, I mean, barely, tenth of a point.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, it, okay, but I mean, you're breaking eggs there to split that difference, and everybody else we played was not that good. So when if you just want to look at it from a Ken Palm ranking standpoint, so anyway, we'll leave that one alone. But your point is taken. I think definitely. Certainly this year, I was nowhere near us in Ken Palm, and there you go. So,
Yeah.
so certainly things can happen, and things do happen in the tournament. And if you want some proof of that, the first thing I'm going to say here is for anybody that's super disappointed by this or think that uh, Todd's not what we thought he was or something like that. I'd like to point out Coach K's record. Coach K coached for 42 years, which is nuts. But he
Legendary.
coached Duke for 42 years. And during that tenure, um, he had 5 national titles. Just let that sink in. 42 chances, got 5. 13 times saw the Final Four. And that's considered to be basically the most not basically, it is the most impressive resume in modern basketball history. Obviously, you got John Wooden, but that was a different time. Tournament wasn't the same. So I'm not saying anything negative about Wooden or that he couldn't have still done it. The guy was incredible. But when you look at modern history, right, the way the tournament is now, technically changed to that, and I believe 84 or 85, something like that with the current seating structure. So most of Coach K's tenure and all of his championships were won during that format. So when you look at it, that's your most impressive resume. So even if you want to cut it down to 85 and call it 37 seasons instead, that's 5 titles out of 35. It's not easy to do. That's the best to ever do it, again, in this modern era, and he's got 5 out of 35. So judging Todd on not getting 2 out of 4 would have been a little harsh. So
Eh.
let's give him a little breathing room. All right, let's give him a little space. Now, having said that, what I will say is I agree with you. I think he got out game planned here. I think he got out structured. And when that was happening, the thing that did bother me is I didn't see a change coming from him. I didn't see any
Right.
kind of chess move back, right? Or even really a checker move, quite frankly, to counter anything that was going on. It was just kind of a, dare I say it, let's execute better. Ooh, he didn't say that. So, but that was the
No.
feel. That was the feel I got. It was just, oh, we just got to play better type of thing. And I'm like, well, you're getting beat up in there. Maybe you change strategy a little and
Yeah.
figure something else out because clearly what we're doing isn't working, which for the record, analytically and everything else made zero sense, right? This was the team we talked about that we thought we could just keep rebounding until we scored because they ranked so horrifically in both total rebounds and offensive rebounds. And all they did
Yeah.
was tie us in rebounding and beat us in offensive rebounding. Made
That's all.
zero sense. There's no logic to it. I cannot explain it. I got nothing for it. Um, Maybe that is player effort. I don't know. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me either, but it is what it is. So that's kind of looking at this and breaking it down what I saw from it. But I did think that there were definitely some strategic things that were not done from the start, and then certainly not done as the game progressed. I'd like to see some changes at wing, and kind of change the way we approach some things. Maybe even bring Ingram in, just as a suggestion. I won't get into all of it, but the point being, we needed to mix some things up. We didn't, in my opinion. And, hey, it is what it is. And sometimes this is just the way it happens. And then to your point, we still, after all of that, had a good chance to win the game and made some interesting choices on that final play, or not the final play, but the penultimate play where we allowed that three that we probably didn't need to make. So, hey, again, hopefully this is something Todd can learn from. He's still very young at doing this. Already has one chip. I think definitely has a shot at it. And speaking of shots at it, we've already got some retention news, right? The Brown brothers back, Clavs back, Boogie back, right? Some
Alex
big pieces
Lloyd.
already retained. What was that?
I believe Alex Lloyd committed.
Yes, Lloyd back, correct. So you've already got some pieces back. Obviously, the big ones that you're still waiting on is what is the front court going to do? I don't think Tommy's coming back, for the record. I'd love it, but I don't see it, and I don't blame him. But what happens with Condon and Chinny, right? I don't know. I don't know right now. Obviously, nobody knows that answer right now, but I think it's interesting to look at, and certainly the possibility exists. And if even those two pieces come back, when you talk about Ingram coming in as the wing potentially, very interesting what that lineup could look like. I think we need to make a couple acquisitions of shooters in the portal. Clearly, that was a weakness for us. We need a little better shooting, but I think it's very interesting to see what this team could look like next year as of right now. Very interested in it. See the potential if we do bring a couple of those pieces back in the middle for this team to be as good or frankly better, which is kind of wild to say, but it's true. It's very, very interesting to see what it looks like. So I'm all arrows are still pointing up for this basketball group. We'll see what time holds here and what the offseason brings as far as retention and acquisitions go, but definitely something to keep an eye on. So any more thoughts on B-ball before we move on?
Tough way to end the season.
Yep.
Great season nonetheless. Hopefully building blocks, and hopefully if Golden is as good of a coach as we think that he is, because he's being pursued by blue bloods, yada yada yada.
Yep.
These things will be used in preparation for fall of 26.
Agreed. And hopefully beyond, right? Hopefully this is a learning lesson for next year's tournament. Because I would argue that he kind of did the same thing last year and got away with it, right? We kind of didn't do any strategic moves last year and got away with it. This year that didn't work. So now what do you do moving forward? Do you learn from that, and do you figure out different ways to go about doing things in certain situations? Because the great coaches do that, period. They just do. They find different ways to go at things strategically, matchups to take advantage of, and for the record, again, I think defensively we were fine, but it just offensively, we didn't have another barrel to fire. Just didn't have it.
Oh, we didn't have a Walter Clayton hanging around anywhere, just willing to make a big shot at any moment's notice.
But we knew that, right? So that's the thing is, what do you do to counteract that? And that was where I felt like we did have some options, and we didn't even try them, know? So yeah. All right. Good enough. Let's move on. Let's get back to the basis of this pod. That'll close our basketball segment until, probably winter of next year, but that's okay. So moving on, let's go to some football. Let's talk some additional spring intel here for practice. Did have a first scrimmage on Saturday, I believe it was. Little intel we got from it. You may have seen this, you may not have, so we wanted to bring it to you. The first and foremost, both quarterbacks played well. Each had a touchdown in the scrimmage, and no picks that I'm aware of. So solid play from both Philo and Jones there. The standout player of the day by far from what's being reported was one Eric Singleton Jr., which is nice to hear considering he was the catch of the portal class, right? He had multiple catches and was consistently able to create separation and space when running routes, which is what we want to hear, quite frankly. Obviously you got to watch out what that means for your defense, but I think we're pretty confident in the at least coverability of most of our cornerbacks. And if he's getting away from them, that's probably a good thing in terms of his ability. So I liked that. And then we also had LJ McCray with a pass breakup, sack, and TFL. So, yep, we wanted to see it, and we might be seeing it. So that's interesting. However, that one you got to put an asterisk by because the only questionable play of the day came from the O-line. And there's some reports of the staff shifting and shuffling players around a lot, still showing we're not clear on who the starters are going to be there at all. And clearly, even if we were, I'm not sure that would solve the problem either as of yet, because they were getting cooked pretty good from the sounds of it. So, yeah, definitely some concerns there. Definitely gotta put a pin in that one. It's somewhat understandable. It's early on. It's going to be a new group working together, right? We talk about things like gelling and playing together and understanding your roles, and a lot of guys with position changes, even if they were here last year, right? We'll talk about it in a minute, but I think when you look at this, that is concerning right now. You have to be at least somewhat concerned that you have an O-line that is not together, especially when we looked at what the O-line was last year. So, any thoughts on any or all of that?
No, I'd say it's a pretty good rundown. A couple of big things for me was the standout. Hanks had an INT when the team was backed up on that 1 yard line,
Yes,
so
good call. Good
that was a
call.
great way to get out of that sequence. Um, Jordy Lowry transfer out of Carolina, right, with an INT, great
Hmm.
tipped INT off of Stockton's hands. That was really good to see. So the eyes are moving. That's good. Tip drill, right?
Yep.
You mentioned it, but both QBs linked up with guys relatively new, right? With Micah Mays, so that was great to see there. The variety going around, that was good. Singleton, you already said it, but couple things I'll just say on Singleton. He got consistent separation, and Singleton was a quote saying as advertised.
There you go.
Wow.
Yep. Yep.
Wow. And then again, to top it off, last year, which we thought this was going to be a strength, it was not. And coming into the spring, Phil Troutwain's got a lot of work to do, but the O line remains to be a head scratcher. So hopefully, well, not hopefully, I know he's going to pull it together, but let's just say it's going to require, it's almost like when you go into building a house, right? When the contractor tells you it's going to take twice as long and cost twice as much. Oh,
Yep.
okay. Gotcha. So work in progress.
Well, and hopefully it does get there. You said he will. I'm not going to be that confident. I'm going to say I hope, because I don't know that it's going to happen, but I'll certainly hope for it. But
Yeah.
we're got over our skis last year on that. I think with good reason, based on what we saw,
Yeah.
to close out the year before, and then it just backed up. But it's really interesting, not to go too deep into this, but we talked about some of the pro day numbers that came out, and then of course all the weight room talk that's come out, from these guys coming in, and particularly the O line and what they were lifting versus what they are now, and you know,
Right.
love him to death, but 22 reps at 250 for an offensive lineman is just not a lot. And then we can
Eh.
talk about your boy Damian George and his 12.
Oh, my
12.
goodness.
I mean, I might be able to do 12, man. That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. I can't even. I can't even. Um, I don't know what to make of that. I really don't. It,
Especially
it,
not on a
it
large man like that.
yeah. I mean, he's almost 400 pounds, and that's crazy. That's crazy. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Clearly, we were lacking there way more than we thought. We gave Tyler a lot of credit. We thought he was doing some good things there in terms of,
Yeah.
maybe doing this differently. And clearly, that was not the case. We were not pushing hard enough consistently, and we were not nearly putting enough weight on it, especially at some of these strength positions. Maybe he was good with the skill guys. I don't know, but the strength guys, not so much. So. However, the staff is certainly addressing that. Clearly, that's a focus, right? And to that end, we're going to start by going through this too deep, with the positions that we think are going to be most physical in nature. So we'll get to that here. But again, as I mentioned, The goal here is to talk about each position group and give you a two deep by position. Again, this is not a projected starter. This is a projected first and second stringer as of spring. So important thing here. This is right now. Are we saying this is going to be your first or second stringer come fall? We have no idea. We don't know that. We are way too early in the process. This is, as of right now, we would say you're projected too deep. Again, not giving a starter and a backup, just saying one of these guys will probably be a starter, one of them will be a backup. As of the spring game, that's what we're looking at for each one of these things. So with that, let's get it started. Get us going with O-line here. Break it down.
Yeah, so we got Caden Jones, right? Red shirt, junior, 6'8", 348 pounds. Couple things on Caden. Moved from right tackle. So he was kind of a switch player, right? Played left and right, but at the end of the day, he's going to move from right tackle, coming over to left tackle. Appeared in all 12 games last season and didn't relinquish the starting job since week 3 against LSU. And of course, very instrumental on that side in Jaden Baugh's 1,000-yard season. He took 541 snaps this year, so Caden definitely emerging on that left tackle side. You want to go into Emeka or feel free to switch?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so Emeka, so this one's kind of a strange one, right? Emeka Ugorji, 6'5", 315, or as I found that he was known as Trial by Fire over at Stanford, a true freshman. The kid is 18 years young, okay? His freshman campaign, far from perfect, obviously, but Troutwain notedly said he was excited for the opportunity to develop him and said the rising sophomore has been attacking each day. Troutwain also believes that his drive to succeed and, get this, his degree as an engineer while playing
Wow.
football will translate into the gridiron, right? You see him on the field, you don't know when, you don't know where, but he will be because of his mentality, mindset, and his ability to get better. And not to mention, Emeka is helping Troutwain build the culture of the O line. So that says a lot there about his character.
Nice. So yeah, that being left tackle, moving on to left guard, Najee Harris, obviously returning from last year, solid season there, fairly good numbers. I don't have the pro football numbers, pro football focus numbers on it, but fairly decent season for him last year. And the projected other player there, I'm not going to say backup, the projected other
Yeah.
player at that position is Roderick Kearney, obviously a guy that's been around this team for a long time now and has gotten some time. I'm going to tell you, I'm surprised we haven't seen more of Roderick actually play, potentially even start. There's something there that doesn't quite make sense to me because he's a talented player, or at least had a talented profile coming out of high school. It's surprising to me that we haven't seen him see the field more. He has seen it, but I'm surprised it hasn't been more. This is his redshirt junior year, I believe. So we're talking
Mhm.
season 4 here. Really surprised that we have not gotten a little bit more out of him. Perhaps this is the year we do. Perhaps he cracks the regular rotation or even starting at some point. We'll see. Especially with these question marks up here, we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's your left guard 2 there. So moving on to center. Go ahead.
Center, right? First off, we got Jason Zamandela. So, Troutwain says, love coaching this kid, doing a heck of a job, and really excited. Has the ability to play in the NFL one day. Just has to keep grinding, just has to keep working, right? So, the main thing with Jason right now is getting his hands in the right position to be able to move those tackles. So that's going to be very, very interesting. Obviously, big shoes to fill with Slaughter being gone. And then the other one we've got as far as in the hot seat for competition, Harrison Moore, of course, transfer from Georgia Tech, 6'5", 305. Of course, knows Faulkner's offense. Faulkner says he's extremely tough. He's an overachiever. Get this, he was a tight end in his junior year at about 245 pounds. So phenomenal transformation. And here's another fun fact about Harrison Moore has not allowed a sack in 866 career snaps, hoping to continue that streak here with the Gators.
Nice. Good stuff. Right guard, we have the Penn State transfer in TJ Shanahan, a guy that I am sure that Phil is fairly high on based on comments that he's made. More than fairly. I think he's pretty high on him. So he likely will be a part of the two deep here. And then your returning player from last year, but in a move from right tackle to right guard in Bryce Lovett. So this is an interesting one. I think this could potentially be good, kind of similar to the Damian George move that happened a year ago, right?
Right.
Or might have even been 2 years ago now. I can't remember. I think it was 2 years ago. When George was out there trying to play tackle, he couldn't do it. His feet just did not have the mobility. He did not have the mobility with his size. I think Bryce might be in a similar position. He's just a hair oversized, or maybe not oversized in Bryce's case. Actually, I take that back. I think it's just his lateral quickness that just isn't quite there for the tackle position. We saw him start there, and then to your point, Caden Jones came in and replaced him as the starter.
Right.
He still saw snaps at tackle, but I think now we have some more depth at the tackle positions, which is a good thing. And I think moving him to guard could be good. I'll have an interesting little tidbit on that point in a minute when we get to the end of this. I do have the lineup that came out first for the first scrimmage. Doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I'll tell you who it was. And yeah, so I am interested to see this move because I do think it could potentially mirror a little bit what we saw from the George situation. I don't think it'll be as drastic, in fairness, because George's was mandatory. This one, I don't know if it's quite as mandatory, but potentially good for Bryce. So we'll see what happens. So hopeful there.
Absolutely.
And last but not least, right tackle. Close us out here.
Let's go to right tackle. First up, we have Mr. Egan Boyer coming over from Penn State, 6'8", 308 pounds. Relatively underutilized, right? 135 snaps under his belt, 3 years of eligibility, is redshirt freshman. Relatively unproven, but has the size and mentality to compete in the SEC. He knows what Coach Troutwain expects and expect him to compete in a big, big way. And rounding that out is T.J. Dice, 6'5", 3. I mean, these guys are just trees. 6'5", 308. Dice has been noted by Coach Troutwain, gets off the line of scrimmage with quickness, shows encouraging bend relative to dimensions, capable of leveraging under D linemen and moving them off the ball. Good hands. So hopefully that'll round out right tackle very well and firm up that position for the fall.
We'll see. Obviously, both tackles are very important in the SEC with the edge rushers that are present there. So those are going to matter for sure. So we will see how that goes. So as promised, your starters, quote unquote, they were changed out within a minutes. Just to, again, as we talked about, there was concern here and things were shuffled and things were moved. And I don't know the movement, but your first on the field, we'll call it. So we won't call them starters. We'll just call them first on the field. Was Caden Jones, left tackle, Najee Harris, left guard, Harrison Moore, center, Bryce Lovett, right guard, and Egan Boyer, right tackle. So there you go. For what it's worth. I don't know if that means anything at all. Probably does not this early. And again, even what we're doing here is a projection. The only reason that Fletcher Westphal is not in this group named is because I do think he would have made this too deep somewhere as well, but he has had a hurt wrist. So again, as a spring depth chart, we do not have him in here. So just a note there. Real quick, sum this up. Thoughts on the overall position group. Mine are, this could be a problem. I have concerns, big question marks. It's early. It could be fine, but we have to watch out here. We have to keep a close eye on this through the remainder of spring, what's left of it, which is not a ton. But we have to keep a close eye on this certainly through fall camp and listen hard to the intel that's coming out there. The weird thing is, though, is there was not question marks around this last fall. There were the fall before, but not last fall. And then you saw what you saw. So it's hard to know. Really, we're probably just going to have to hope that the staff comes to some decision in terms of, who your core group is and that they can get some time in fall to get together, and then cross your fingers for the season and see what happens. I mean, that's my thought on it. Where you stand.
Cross your fingers, cross your toes, cross your legs, people. It's disconcerting.
Yep.
But also understanding, hey, new coach, new pieces. I get that. We do have a lot of scar tissue, I feel like, however. The depth is there, right? But are they going to be in the right places on the line? And to hear Coach Troutwain say, and I quote, it's going to be a competition and it's going to stay that way up until the first game and even there after that. First of all, you love the fact that guys are competing. Secondly, that doesn't sound too confident. And I'm not saying it's a spring, folks. It's not even the spring game. We should not have, you know, all starters defined, but at least when you look at those positions amongst the O-line, we should have at least 2 to 3 pure starters there, good, solidified, anchored, ready to go. And I don't feel like we're even there yet.
Yeah, there's
So
only
that's what's
one I
tough.
feel really good about, and that's Najee.
One,
That's the only one I feel
right,
solidly about because he's the
right.
only one that's put consistently good stuff on film of this
Yes,
group that I've seen, right? So, yeah.
agreed.
Yeah, again, it's a concern right now. And depending on what that looks like during the season, it could be the bane of our season. Quite frankly, it's possible. So we have to consider it as a possibility. We're not trying to be, Debbie Downers here, but we're also not going to pump sunshine when it's not there to pump, right? That's not going
No,
to happen. So
calling a
trying
spade a
to keep
spade.
things very realistic, call a spade a spade. That's right. That's gonna be our theme all season. So
Yep.
again, my hope here, and it's going to continue to this next segment, is that with the stress of physicality, right, that we want to be physical on offense, physical on defense from this staff, and that is a mentality that they want to have throughout this team, that will help with this position group. Obviously, because they've stated more than once that this is a trenches, battle in this conference, which is very true. I hope that message rings out and that we get to where we need to be here, but time will tell. So, all right, moving on. D line. We'll start with the jack. So we play a
Yeah.
3-4 here. So we have 3 defensive linemen traditionally, and then you have your jack linebacker, but they play on the line. So we put them in this group. So your jack is going to be for your 2 deep, Jaden Woods and Kofi Asari. Now, I'm not going to name a starter here, but it's Jaden Woods.
That's solidified.
Yeah, that one, he'd have to mess that up. Let's put it that way. He'd have to do something wrong, and from all accounts, he is not doing anything wrong. So yeah, very, very likely going to be your starter there. However, again, it's not what we're doing here, and that is your current 2 deep at that spot. Obviously, feel very good about that one with Jaden Woods being the player that he is. Though Kofi, I will say, showed us some stuff last year on film that was actually much more impressive than what I was expecting to see from him, being the 3-star transfer out of UMass. And not that I didn't think he could do anything, but he showed that I think he can play in this league. He's capable, which is good to see. So you have, assuming that is your 1-2, I do think you have a solid backup there for what we obviously know in Jaden is a potential fire starter at edge. So really excited to see what Jaden looks like coming back for his just true sophomore season. Let that sink in. Yeah. Pretty impressive stuff. So good things there. All right, moving on. First D-line position. What you got?
First, D-line, but let's go with Brendan Bett. Yes, the spitter. I know, folks. I know. A little bit contentious. 6'5", 310. After the spitting incident, of course, against USF, turned into a weight room leader and a vocal leader. A bit underrated, right? Production was huge actually on paper, but his biggest area of growth, go figure, mental. He can play, tough as nails, and not to mention one thing I love about what Chapman said about him, he has a tremendous amount of upside, more than he knows. So Brendan Bett, we saw flashes. We saw flashes. We know he can be there, but with consistency and a little bit harder work, Brendan Bett really could make it to that upper echelon of a starter. Okay. Next up, Joseph Mbachu. Speaking of upper echelon, let's talk about
Yep.
weight gain. The biggest gainer of the team, plus 23 since last year.
Yep.
Chapman, get this, sees Mbachu as a natural disruptive force. Yeah, you say that about a hurricane, a Cat 5. Okay, in the middle of the defensive front, he can stuff the run, he can take on double teams, and not to mention he can get into the backfield easier. He's a striker, man. He's a striker. He's heavy-handed, and he's willing to work. Love those things come out of Joseph, who hopefully is going to have a phenomenal sophomore year. Expect some great things out of him in the fall. But either way, definitely a big battle between he and Bett at that line position.
Yep, absolutely. And interesting you mentioned that. I was going to say this at the end, but I'll say it now because of the comment you just made there. I think it's fully possible that the four guys we're going to list here, those two, and then the two I've got at defensive line as well, because it's two down linemen in the center there.
Yeah.
I think these are four interchangeable from a position standpoint, right? Just
Oh
because
yeah.
we have one at the right side and one at the left side, if you will. I don't think it matters. I think these guys could potentially both be or all be competing for
Yes.
the starting spots on either side, right? I don't think left and right really make that much difference here. Perhaps there's a player that has a preference or an edge at this, but typically you see these guys used pretty interchangeably. We certainly saw that last year. I know different defense, different scheme, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I don't think you're going to see too much issue with using them interchangeably at either of the positions, right? So you could see rotation all around here, because especially with these guys, you got to rotate them. They only have so much gas in the tank, right? So you definitely have to move them in and out, and I think we'll see that. So to that end, the next defensive line grouping here, we have one Jamari Lyons, also an ex-spitter. Got to go back. Got to go back a little further for that one, but it happened. And but nonetheless, again, he's recovered and we're good. But the solid play here from him last year, coming back off the is it Achilles tear for him?
I thought it was the ankle break.
Oh, ankle break. Yes, ankle break. Yes, thank you. Coming off the ankle break, and decent play last year from him. I don't know that he cracked the rotation quite as much as I would have expected him to last year.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see now that we, obviously don't have Banks in the fold at all, and obviously you did some last year, but I don't know. I just expected to see a little more of Jamari last year and
Yeah.
than we did. So it'll be interesting to see how that works in, or if it doesn't, because his backup is one Jeremiah McLeod, who was very impressive as a freshman, much like
yeah.
Mbachu, right? So you have McLeod and Mbachu, as the well, I said McLeod's the backup. He may not be, right? So I shouldn't have said that, but you're those two, even though they're younger here, both of them than Lyons and Bet, are both extremely talented and showed that last year. They both put great stuff on film. We were highly complimentary of both of those guys, and with good reason. They played exceptionally well in the middle here, and I'm excited to see what both of them can do. Whether they're a starter or not, these guys are going to see the field without question. They have shown that they have that capability,
Yes.
and they're going to be in the two deep rotation here for sure. I think come fall, I feel very confident in saying that. And I'm looking forward to seeing it, because those guys really, really showed they have a lot of capability in what they're able to do in their disruption, especially when it comes to getting into the backfield, breaking up the run, and or even potentially putting some pass rush on. So good stuff there. Last but not least, round us out at the defensive end here. On the other side, again, we have the Jack on one side, the defensive end on the other. So what do we got for D end?
Yeah, and before I get into it, I think you're right, because when we look at this defensive side of the football, this D line in particular, the entire D line, I feel like we have a lot of depth, and of course I reference scar tissue a lot. We have depth, we have scar tissue, but there's been a lot of growth that has occurred out of these players over the past couple of years, the different schemes, and so if Brad White has any kind of brain, which he does, he's an analytical. He looks at the stuff on paper. I'm sure he's salivating over the fact of switching some of these guys up, not to mention
Yep.
having a first team coming in. Hey, you know what? You went really, really hard on these downs. Come out, get a breather. The second team comes in and just goes just as hard. So
Yep.
hopefully he's salivating at the bell to implore this scheme in the best way possible. To that end, Cameron James, I can't say enough about this kid. I'm gonna just throw this out there this way. Cam James led the team in sack yardage last year, despite playing through what? A torn labrum.
Yep.
Didn't even think twice about it. I knew there was a chance it could get worse at the end of the season, but quote unquote, I was going to give it all for my guys. Enough said.
Yep.
Cam James, class act, not to mention being on the sidelines has allowed him to grow, become a better leader mentally, and he and Graham have been going back and forth as far as helping each other, becoming more vocal, becoming more leadership, mentoring more of those younger guys on the team. So that's been great. And then next up, L.J. McCray, right? Redshirt sophomore. Obviously, He had some challenges last year, but he's answered the challenge from Gerald Chapman, raised his level of play and workouts, raised his level of leadership, his vocal abilities. As we know, he was a former five-star recruit out of Daytona Beach, 6'6", 272, missed the majority of last
Wild.
season with a broken foot. So guess what? He got challenged by the staff, and he didn't cower. He didn't turn and run. He didn't enter the portal. He said, I got you. I'm going to step up to the plate, and that's what he's done. Kudos to LJ McCray for that attitude.
Yeah, and really glad to hear what we're hearing so far. First you hear about the body transformation. Now you hear about how he's playing so far in spring. Oh man, checking a lot of boxes early.
Checking
Excited,
boxes.
excited. This was a super highly rated kid coming out of high school, right? Top 10 player, depending on the rating service you looked at. But I
Yeah,
mean, outstanding amount of talent. Potential through the roof, every size and trait you want from an elite edge rusher. I mean, you said it's 6'6", 270. I mean, dude, come
good
on.
night.
I mean, ridiculous. And you see him in some of the highlights from high school, and it's like, what are you doing out there, man? That's crazy.
Yes.
Very interesting here, and excited to see. I will make a quick mention here again of somebody who's not on the list, and that is one transfer, Oye Badejo.
Bedejo.
He is not on here simply because, again, we were projecting a two deep, and I don't think he's made that yet. Just because he's got to get acclimated to the SEC. Now, again, that's the spring two deep. What does it mean for the fall two deep? We don't know yet.
You
So
don't
he
know?
could be on here. I don't know. Certainly has the physical traits, but has got to get the workload and the physical demands of the SEC down first, and that's something we're still getting through. So, all right, moving on. Next up, talk us through the QB battle real quick.
Oh boy, Tramel Jones. Good. This kid came out of Mandarin High School in Jacksonville. But the main thing here is he's got a touch on the ball. He's got the quote unquote juice, I believe is how coach put it. Physically, he's there. Mentally, he's there. And you think Aaron Philo, transfer, Georgia Tech, spent 2 years with Buster Faulkner, knows the offense like the back of his palm. Guess what? Tramel Jones goes, okay, yeah, I see your offense. I like your offense. I'm going to be very proficient in your offense very quickly. Tramel's putting in the time. He's putting in the book study. It's great to see because you thought Aaron Philo coming over, hey, he's going to be a guaranteed starter. They're going to hand him a job. No, no, sir. This is neck and neck. This is going to be very interesting. If anything, Tramel has the higher physical edge because of the body, the arm talent, right? He's got some arm candy, right? Aaron maybe slightly more accurate with the ball, but downfield not as accurate, right?
Yep,
And
for
definitely
sure.
Trammell has him in the shorter field. So very interested to see how this plays out into the fall. There is no clear lead in the QB position between Jones and Philo. Very interesting.
Yeah, I heard an interesting point here made, and it was, you interesting to see who the first player is out, right? Who the quote unquote starter is for the spring game,
Yeah.
right? What does that tell us, if anything? I would say it depends on how many reps you get with the first teamers, right? So do they do what they did last year, right? When they had Harrison and Aiden switch reps with the first teamers, right? They did half and half with the first team offense each. If they do something like that, does it matter who gets it first? I don't know that it does. People will read into that, but does it actually matter? Not sure. If you get equal time, who cares? You know what I mean? And also, who are the first teamers? Because we're still not sure, right? No, there are certain ones that we are pretty sure of, right? We'll get to some of those on offense in a minute here, but there are still question marks too. So I think that's an important point to make and something to keep in mind with this. Yeah, I don't know which way this is going down either. I will tell you this though. If this offense is going to have a fair number of deep balls, we need to be careful with Philo. I've seen enough now. I've seen him underthrow a lot of them in practice anyway. And that's something that has my radar up because you underthrow deep passes and that means picks. So that's got me concerned. I will say that. So that's the only thing I'm going to say about it. I'm not saying anything else in terms of, what could be the end result of this battle, what could end up being good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not saying that Jones is the better quarterback just because of that. I'm just saying that there is potentially an issue for sure with Philo and a deep ball from what I've seen so far. I'm certainly not going to go and say that there is, again, a problem, but there is concern there in terms of that. So overall, looking forward to seeing what it means, how things go, and certainly there's plenty of time for that also to get corrected and look better. And hey, it's practice. Practice doesn't always tell you everything, right? When you're throwing against air, sometimes you look great, sometimes you don't, and that's not the same as a game. So
Bingo.
we'll see what happens. But all right, moving along. Let's go on to linebacker. All right, inside and outside is how we have this classified, inside and outside linebacker. I'm not sure that that's exactly what this staff's going to call them, but that's what we went with, so there you go. For inside linebacker, we got your two deep as Miles Graham and Ty Jackson. That is where we have that set up as of right now. Again, a TBD on the second player on this list. No TBD on the first player on this list. Obviously, Miles Graham going to crack the two deep, I'm pretty sure. Ty Jackson certainly showed the potential. He saw the field some last year as well. Certainly has a very high ceiling from a talent standpoint. So we'll have to see what goes on there and whether or not it does end up being part of the two deep rotation or if it's somebody else there. But just looking at the depth in the room and looking at the other side of the linebacking position and who we have, I think that's your most likely candidate. But that one's a little hard to call right now, and we don't have a lot of spring intel on it because obviously the talk is going to be around your guys like Miles Graham and Aaron Giles and Jaden Robinson, who you're going to talk about in a minute. So, yeah, we'll move on to outside linebacker. Talk us through it.
There we go. So first up, Aaron Childs, right, finished fourth on the team in tackles last year, 52 tackles across 12 games, 2.5 tackles for loss, pass defended, fumble recovery. And here's the thing, Summerall's background as a former SEC linebacker at Kentucky, Childs cited as a huge reason why he came back and wanted to show his true potential. Yikes. Next up, Jaden Robinson stepped into the starting role this past season, played 491 of 611 snaps on defense, posted 50 tackles, 28 solo, 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hurries, which was second most on the team, 3 pass breakups, third most on the team, and a forced fumble. Jaden Robinson, junior year, contract year, has the ability to take that next step as a great linebacker. Expecting great things out of both of them this year. And I agree with you that those guys can be shuffled around between inside and outside in a lot of different ways. Again, Brad White, are you salivating?
Yeah,
Next up.
exactly. And I do want to mention we were recapping each group. We kind of did the D line during it, so we didn't do it after. Obviously, we talked quarterbacks, kind of self-explanatory. So I do want to get your thoughts on this linebacker group. We were obviously sky high on this position group last year. Little different case this year, but I still think we're pretty good on it. What are your thoughts here as an overall group?
Yeah, I do think we're pretty good. I don't know again, B. I think going into this fall, our theme, right, our cadence of calling a spade is going to be important.
Yeah.
Um, I love the pieces. Now, I'll tell you what, as you mentioned, Graham is who Graham is. He's out with the shoulder surgery right now. That is what it is. But I was really worried about him a couple years ago with the back surgery coming out of high school. Okay, how's that gonna affect him with SEC play? Well, he had the back surgery, he's fine. So now, as long as the shoulder is good to go, I expect him to be an absolute force. I like the pieces we have. I like the stability we have. I like the size we have. I like the athleticism. More importantly, the athleticism and
Mhm.
the smart and the brains behind this particular position group. This is probably going to be one of my. I'm gonna take a page out of your book. Probably going to be one of the favorite groups I'm going to enjoy seeing this fall. And the only thing I worry about is injury and depth with this group
Yeah,
right now.
depth is a little question mark for sure. Because I think you're certainly your three deep, probably your four deep is fine here. But beyond that, I got question marks for sure. It gets thin beyond that. And last year we were probably 5, 6 deep in this room,
Right.
just fine. And this year that's not the case necessarily. Now I don't know. It's nothing to say negative about the guys behind here, but uh, I don't know that all of them in the room are similarly talented to some of the guys that we have up top here. Let's just again keep it real, right? We're gonna when keeping it real goes wrong, we're gonna throw back to Chappelle here. So that's gonna be the theme.
There you go.
So so yeah, but overall, definitely happy with certainly the starting talent, and I think probably the two deep talent is going to be very good as well. Just what does it look like beyond that? Obviously, then your injuries do become potentially a concern if they were to
Yes.
happen. But again, I like this, and I think the thing that maybe has me most excited here, just on a more positive note, is Graham and Childs haven't really played like side by side as starters yet. And we've kind of been waiting for that to happen. And
Yes.
I think that's got a chance to happen here. I'm not saying it does, but I think it's got a chance to happen here. And that's like
Great
kind of
point.
the moment you were waiting for since they came in together in that 2024 recruiting class. So yeah, that one's one I want to see, right? I want to see that
Oh,
one for sure. So yeah. That'll be good. All right, moving on.
yeah.
Wide receiver. Let's get it started with the X. So we did this as an X, Z, and a Y, the Y being the slot, right? The X's being the outside. Obviously, we could have more than three wide receivers playing at once on the team, but we only went with three because we think that's going to be your standard
What a
set.
concept.
I know it's wild, blow your mind. Incredible stuff happening. So wide receiver X, as mentioned. We're going to call that, just one of the outside receivers. We're going to start this one off with Dallas Wilson being your projected starter. Now, or again, not projected starter, projected two deep for the spring game. Now, we did leave him on this list despite the ankle injury, or foot injury, I should say, because he is out of the boot. He could potentially play. I don't know that he will. I'm not sure he's going to see the field in the spring game, but we still left him on here because it's Dallas Wilson and you just have to, right? He's just too much of a talent to not have in this mix, in terms of this. But your second on this list, is Micah Mays, as you already mentioned, who has shown out so far in camp,
Yes.
has been excellent transfer receiver out of Wake Forest. Am I right on that?
Wake Forest. Ding ding.
Yeah.
2 points for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, he has been outstanding so far. As you mentioned, a touchdown in the scrimmage this weekend, has had multiple catches and multiple praise from the coaches so far. Really looks to be a high-end receiver that is certainly going to crack the rotation here without a doubt so far from the looks of it. So I think some really good things there. And then certainly, obviously, with the current hindrance to Dallas, he's obviously going to, see the field for the spring game, I would say, based on that. So that's your breakdown at X. Talk us through Z.
Yeah, let's go. Eric Singleton Jr., of
Oh,
course,
there he
the
is.
transfer from
Hmm.
Auburn by way of Georgia Tech. Of course, thanks Buster for saying, "Hey, come give Gainesville, Vegas a try." Clocked at 23 miles per hour. Hashtag burner. Hashtag game changer. Hashtag instant separation. Hashtag first step. I rest my case, Your Honor. And next up, we got T.J. Abrams, obviously a familiar face, a familiar name in Gaines, Vegas. Um, Coach said some things that you have to clean up and polish, but he's consistent. He shows up. You get the same TJ every single day. He's been a joy to work with him so far. He caught 13 passes, 201 yards, 10 games last year, and he is a very capable asset. Very capable asset. So, very interesting to hear that out of Buster for TJ Abrams because I know we expected a lot of great things out of him with the speed, the quickness, the agility. So, we'll see what happens here. But Eric Singleton, you're clear. I know we're not saying it's a projected too deep, but
Yeah,
you're
he's a starter.
clear starter.
He's a
I'll
starter.
just, yeah. All
Did
right.
you already do Abrams too, or did I miss it?
Yep, that was Abrams just there, just very capable asset. And
Gotcha.
go
Sorry.
ahead
I'm
and
sorry.
you're good. Go ahead and move it over to the slot, my friend.
Yes. All right. So moving to the slot and the Y, another clear starter because he's wearing the number one, and it just is what it is going to be VB3. And hey, sometimes you just got some of them, but on this two deep with him is Bailey Stockton, who will definitely see the field. He is going to play. I think that is clear based on his practice performance, but obviously going back to VB3, really showing out in camp as well. Doing some very good things, getting praised left and right for his work ethic and some of the stuff that he's showing. And then, of course, the infamous that he did not lose the gauntlet workout as well, right? So that's a big one.
Huge.
Just showing how competitive he is and how much he's really out there to compete and play day in and day out. So I think again that's your clear starter. But again, Bailey really showing some nice things, clean routes, good footwork, nice concentration and ball control and stuff from the stuff that we've seen so far on the practice film. So really good stuff to see from Bailey as well. So I think your slot there really solid. And now you want to talk about depth. We could go on and on and on at receiver here. This receiver
Yes.
room is stacked. So there's a ton of depth here. We're not going to get into it, but as far as the two deep goes, pretty happy with this, man. The two deep here is pretty darn solid.
Agreed.
Amazing for me to say that I think it's better than last year's wide receiver room. I would not have told you that. I would have likely felt that way, going
Yeah.
in, but I do, and honestly, easily feel that way. So, really, really good stuff there. So, what are your thoughts on the overall room?
Uh, Probably my most okay. I made a comment about the linebackers, sure, but this is my most anticipated watch
Yeah.
room. I'll just call it that because if Buster
Yep.
hinted at what he
Yep.
hinted at and having all these amazing first world problems as weapons,
Yep.
I just how do we deploy them in the most way that we could wreak havoc on a secondary? Let's go.
Yeah, and just combining that with a quarterback that just makes some accurate throws, right, and some decent decisions that you do not have to set the world on fire back there. You do not have to play on hard mode, as Billy liked to do all the time, right?
Eh,
You just don't have to do it, which is great, so we can really take advantage of some of this talent, I think. And yeah, it's exciting stuff. All right, moving along. Cornerback, get us started. Who is your first group at corner?
oh, did you catch yourself there? um, First group,
Yes,
first
first
pair.
group, first
Yeah,
pair. Yes, pair.
yeah, there we
Yes.
go. We got Mr. Cormani McLean, boulders for shoulders. I tell you what, Cormani's been through a lot. Obviously, the transfer from Colorado, he's been cited of having a big ego and his work ethic and okay, whatever. He's come to Florida. Napier worked with him. It was what it was. Obviously, Billy's not here, but I tell you what, amazing opportunity. Junior season could be a contract year. He has the ability to take the lead and anchor this corner position. We know what he's capable of, especially in man coverage. We know he can lock it down. We know his mentality. We know his speed, his shiftiness, his quickness, all those things he can do. Ben Hanks, hey, redshirt freshman. Okay. First career outing, 5 tackles on 59 snaps on defense. Okay. So, and not to mention, this spring, Ben's been on an absolute tear. So, again, two great candidates. Cormani's got the edge here, no doubt, just because Ben has less snaps, less scar tissue. But at the end of the day, these players have the opportunity to redefine that corner position and lock it down for the Gators this fall.
Yep, absolutely. And moving to the other side, it's solid there too. You got Dejon Johnson coming back off an injury, obviously, but looking decent so far. I mean, not participating in every drill yet because of the recovery, but certainly doing some non-contact drills out there and looking like he's coming back appropriately. And then
Yeah.
obviously coming off a great season before he got hurt, he was playing as well as any corner we had out there. Alongside Devin Moore and looking all the much as talented, which is a real compliment because Devin can play. So really excellent stuff there. And then, behind him or next to him, it's hard not to do this in the order that you put it on the sheet.
I know.
So is Javari Flowers, who also looked excellent when he came in for relief last year. We had that all freshman game where we had Ben Hanks and Javari. Was that Old Miss that had to happen in? I can't remember what game it was near the end of the
Mississippi
year where
State.
we. Oh, it was Mississippi State. Okay, yeah. So we had all freshmen out there playing, and man, they both looked really good.
Yes.
It looked really, really good out there, and it was solid. It was really solid to see, and they both looked great. And man, I'm looking forward to it. Both him and Hanks can really play, and I'm confident just to transition into the thoughts on the overall room. Very confident in this room, confident in the depth of it, confident in the talent of
Yes.
it. And there's depth beyond this too. There's guys that we weren't even, we kind of had to think about who was going to go on here. But I think this is right based on, where we're at right now. But there's certainly a couple of other names that could make this list as well, that are talented as well. You mentioned one of them from the scrimmage. The name's gone out of my head, but I think you said he had a pick, the East
Lowry.
Carolina transfer. I just can't think of the name.
Yeah, Lowry, right? Jory
Lowry,
Lowry.
yes, Lowry. How can I forget Mike Lowry? No, it's not Mike Lowry,
Lowry.
but Jordan Lowry. But it definitely some depth here, and
Yes.
excited to see this position group. As you mentioned, I think love the new coach and Brandon Harris too, and a lot of the things he's been saying. Very high on this group as a whole. Excited to see us, dare I say, make a run at coming back as DBU.
Oh,
I'll put it out there. We
oh.
got a shot. We got a shot at it. I'm not saying it happens, but we got a shot at it.
Bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for him.
Let's see how it works out for him. Usually not well, but we'll try it.
Right? Oh man. Let's move on to the tight end position. Let me start off with Mr. Amir Jackson, rising redshirt sophomore. Okay, Amir set to enter his third season with the Gators, redshirt his freshman year. What do you expect? 3 receptions, 29 yards, and a touchdown in 2025. Played behind Hanson, played behind Livingston. Believe it or not, Jackson's main attribute, hands. Hands. Got great
Yep.
hands. Throw the ball to him, he gonna do something with the ball. Period. So Amir Jackson, he's gonna be your project top two in the tight end grouping, and then followed by Luke Harpring, entering 2026 as a redshirt sophomore. He's got experience under Buster Faulkner, of course, set to bring a new skill set to Florida's offense. Last year as a Yellow Jacket, caught 13 passes, 158 yards, ranked number 13 tight end in the portal, right?
All right.
Depending on,
Yeah.
it floated between 13 and 15, between 247 on three. But the other thing that Coach Faulkner has seen is the physical aspects of his game is improved, and not to mention he's challenged Harpering to help others go around him. Pumped for the intangibles because Harpering knows the offense, spending time with Faulkner for the past 2 years. He is hoping that that is disseminated amongst some of the other players. But either way, Amir Jackson, definitely a more physical force than Harpering. I would give Jackson the edge here in the tight end route.
Right. And now at the other tight end spot, oh, wait, we don't run 12 personnel every friggin' time we get on the
Oh,
field anymore.
I was gonna say, don't
Hey,
don't
ho.
don't you dare go the other tight end spot. Chicka 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 chicka.
Now, obviously, we will have other tight ends that we will discuss when we do full position group breakdowns later in the year. But
Oh boy.
certainly for right now, that looks to be your two deep at the only tight end position that we are going to break down because 11, from everything we're hearing, 11 is the core personnel group by far. It looks like the one we're going to be in most, and the one I'm hearing that we're in other than that most is 10, not
10.
12, which is awesome. So really, really good stuff. You can see those air raid routes coming out for Faulkner, even if he is a run heavy guy, which I think we'll see as well. But I think you're definitely going to see, formationally speaking, possibly even more 10 than 12, and that would just be
Yeah.
amazing. So all right, moving on. Any thoughts on this room as a whole for tight end and where we're at on it? I mean, I'll let you give yours first. Go ahead.
Outside of Hizzy Kent and being a freak of nature,
Yeah.
um, no, I'm more excited for the tight end position than I have been, mainly because of the personnel change, the coaching change, and just to see them being utilized in a much unique way. Because the last time we utilized the tight end in such a way, it was one Mr. Kyle Pitts, and he had a banger of a season, and that propelled his career. So hopefully we not hopefully, I know we have weapons. How do we use them? How do we utilize them in the best way
Yep.
possible? I'm sure Coach Faulkner will find a way to do just that.
Yeah, it's well said. I would tell you that I'm a little underwhelmed by the talent in this room. I do think Amir's strong. I think the rest of your guys are more your blocking tight ends. They're just not the best. I'm not saying they can't catch a pass, but
Sure, sure,
they're
sure.
they're just not receiving tight ends like Amir is. Amir is your diamond in the rough for that, and those guys are hard to come by.
Yes.
And so I'd like to see what we can do with him at that position, to your point, in taking advantage of the talent that you have. But I'm a little underwhelmed with the star power talent at tight end here. Now, Easy might be another story, to your point, but that one's going to take some work. He's got to cut some more weight. We got to see what happens there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. That's a TBD. But right now it's Amir, and I do like that upside, but we'll have to see how it gets used and fits in and all that stuff you just mentioned. So good stuff. All right, moving along. safety slash nickel. So we're going to break this down with
Yeah.
the two different safety positions and then the nickel as well, because the nickel will be a feature in this, not necessarily something that we'll have every time out. Because technically this is a 3-4 defense. It is not a 4-2-5 or a 3-3-5, which would entail 5 defensive backs being that 5 number at the end there. But I think you're going to see nickel more often than not in this, so we did put it in this position. Great breakdown. So starting off, free safety. This one's a little tricky to break down because we're not sure exactly where Stubbs and Hayward are going to fit in. I think we know, but Stubbs is really the question mark. Hayward, we're pretty confident in. But anyway, we've got this broken down as Cam Dooley, your transfer from Kentucky, who obviously
Yes.
knows this scheme, not only knows the Brad White scheme, but knows the safeties coach, right, in Corey Collins as well.
Yep.
So you have a lot of ties there. I think that's going to give him a leg up to be certainly in the 2 deep. Could be a starter, might not be. Where that's TBD, obviously. And then also at this position, Drake Stubbs. Obviously, you're returning highly talented back for. Is it sophomore or did he red? I think Drake might have redshirted. Laganza didn't, but I think Drake might have. I don't know. We'll have to
Basically,
look that one
what
up.
I'm showing here is sophomore status, so I
Ah,
don't
okay.
see
So he
any
did play
R.
enough. Okay, okay. Yeah,
Yep.
I knew he got some playing time. I knew Laganza played too much to redshirt, but I wasn't sure about Drake. So yeah, Dooley and Stubbs are looking like the 2 right now as it sits. Again, there's a little flexibility here. You obviously have some other guys in the room. But I think for free safety, this is where you're most likely going to see it land as of right now. So TBD, but both these guys look to be talented. Obviously, Dooley was one of the better rated players in the portal. I believe he ended up
Yeah.
being either top 2 or top 300 overall in the portal. So a good get there. And Drake clearly a top 150 recruit, I believe, going back from memory. I mean, the quoting way back there, but obviously both talented kids and good stuff there. What's strong safety looking like?
Strong safety, a familiar name, different jersey number, but one in Bryce Thornton. So coming back, contract year for Bryce. As a junior, he started in Florida's 11 of 12 games, logging a career high 56 tackles, 31 of them solo, good for second and third on the team, respectively, 6 pass breakups, 5 quarterback hurries. And that's the other thing, too. Based off of where Bryce was on the field, he was able to get to the quarterback in a relatively effective way in a couple games. 2 fumble recoveries, team high, interception, sack, TFL, forced fumble, and a partridge in a pear tree. Bryce Thornton, you're do it all. Expect a lot of great things out of him this year. He positioned himself very well to get the most out of what he was able to do last year, and so. And not to mention, B, you had shared a list with me that he was top 10 on coming in the
Yeah,
SEC.
top
So
5, top
top
5.
5, right?
By
Very
somebody I
interesting.
never heard of, Eric something. I don't remember
Right.
the name now, but an analyst I'd never heard of. But I'll see if I can find it while you're finishing up on
Sounds good.
Shady.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
and
it's pretty wild.
it was, and that's the other thing too, especially with the backside of the field here. It was really tough, right? Because look at what we lost. We lost Castell. Now again, you say lose or not, but Castell, Denson, Gates. You look at all these pieces that we had to replace, right? Pro Football Focus gave Bryce 80.5 defensive grade on the year, second to Devin Moore, who is obviously no longer with us. So
Yep.
Bryce, a lot of upside there. And then on the other side, we've got Laganza, Shady, Hayward. Played in 12 games as a true freshman, recorded 12 tackles, 7 solo, a sack, 2 quarterback hurries, 3.5 TFLs, 4-star out of high school, a big flip, a last minute flip from Tennessee. He's got a lot of potential, very shifty, has the body, has the speed and the twitchiness to be in that star position. And so expect a lot of great things out of him this fall. He and Bryce are going to round it out.
Yeah, that list I found it. It was Aaron Reed.
Okay.
Not familiar with this person, but regardless, it's on a USA Top 100 list. Is the logo in the corner?
Yeah.
So not aware of it. Haven't seen that before, but ranked number 5 in the country
Bananas.
for all defensive backs, safeties or corners. So pretty interesting stuff there. As far as projection goes, but I was surprised by that. I'm not going to lie, but hey, I'm
Yes.
all for it. Certainly think that Bryce has got a ton of upside. I'd be interested to see him in a different system this year that hopefully takes advantage of his talent a little bit better than some of
Yes.
the bend up break the stuff that we've had in years past for the safeties. Especially I feel like they were always the safety valve, right? And so they were just back there trying to play center field all the time and not really getting to make as many plays as I think they were capable of, certainly in Bryce's case. So all right, moving along.
Yeah.
Nickel, both transfers here as you're projected too deep. You got
Yeah.
DJ Coleman out of Baylor and Kanye Clark out of, I believe, UCLA. Kanye, of course, the only other player that did not lose a gauntlet challenge, which was very surprising, but
Yeah.
interesting as well. But both these guys, Clark not very highly rated because of some of his metrics coming through the portal. Coleman much more highly rated, top 200, I believe, or right at it in the portal. And both guys showed decent potential. Certainly Coleman a little bit higher on that. Clark definitely got hung out a few times and got burned, but I think that may have had to do with some of the scheme and also the potential deficiencies that were in that defense overall. We'll see. I'm not making excuses for him. He might just not have it. We'll find out. But
Mm-hmm.
I think at nickel, it's interesting because the potential there is that you got the ability to play the underneath stuff a little more, right, and help out in the run defense and stuff like that. I think Coleman is probably best suited for that, but we'll see how it pans out and what is to come, during the season. So
Right.
with that, close out this group. What are your thoughts on the safeties and the nickels together? What do you think of the room?
TBD. We
Yep.
lost a lot. We lost a
Yep.
lot. We gained some. It's very interesting to note at the nickel position, you got both transfers coming in that are upperclassmen, right? Redshirt,
Mm-hmm.
sophomore, junior, and then a senior. So there's scar tissue there. That's not always a good thing, depending on the schemes they came from, right? So this one's going to be a head scratcher for me because it could
I agree.
definitely be a massive impact, positive or negative, on
Yeah,
that
I mean,
scheme this fall.
what I would say here is that if Dooley shows up, right, and comes in here and really takes to this offense and has a
Yeah.
running mate with Thornton right back there, and they're both out there flying around making plays, this could be an impressive unit. It could be really strong. On the flip side,
Okay.
depending on what's asked of them, if they don't get their assignments right and some of the things done properly, it could be a mess, right? So, there's that possibility as well. And then there's all
Yeah.
the incrementality in between those two things, right? So
Yes.
they're definitely TBD. Question marks. I agree. Definite questions at the nickel. We don't know anything about these guys really and how they can play in the SEC. Neither one of them have done it. We'll have to wait and see on this one. I'm not worried, but I'm also not confident. That's where I would leave that right now.
Fair.
So,
Okay.
all right. Last but not least, take us home with running back.
Man. Hmm. Really tough. We had to think long and hard on this one,
We're
but
not sh-
at
we're
the
not sure about the starter.
we're not yeah, exactly. He's had limited reps in spring practice. Folks, in case you were wondering, yes, it is Jaden Baugh. Hashtag run the ball. Hashtag ball time. Hashtag beast. Jaden Baugh coming back. True junior season. More than likely a contract year for him.
Yeah.
He's your number one, like bottom line, end all be all. And then outside of that, who we believe to be rounding out that top spot is going to be Mr. Evan Pryor. So, very interesting journey here. 3 seasons with Ohio State, one with Cincinnati. After a redshirt freshman status and a medical redshirt status later, and another year of eligibility being granted, hey, we have a very sage running back, right?
Yep.
Buster Faulkner played actually a very huge role in recruiting Pryor and showing him ways that he could work in tandem with Baugh in some unique two-back formations. Back in
Interesting.
high school, yeah, back in high school, Pryor was a speed demon clocked at a 4.3140, and not to mention Pryor's been quoted as saying, "So excited for the opportunity. I've got a lot to prove," which reminds me of one Jack Cheese who still had a lot left in the tank, and he did.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, thoughts on this room are if these are the two, obviously we know one, but if this is the other, I like the Thunder and Lightning approach here. I think it's smart, right?
Hmm.
Hit him with power, and though Jaden is also his own kind of lightning with that cutting ability, but nonetheless, I define him as the Thunder there, obviously. And then prior with the that blazing speed you just mentioned, obviously you get the right crease and he's gone, right? That's always a
Well,
home run threat there. And I like that combination, right? I think that's really good to have. But
yeah,
I also like two or three other guys that we have in this room, right?
yeah,
You look at Duke Clark, you look at
Duke.
the Montgomery, right? Is the East Carolina
Hmm.
transfer? Am I got that right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think that's right. We don't have the list up in front of us, but yeah. So the regardless, even if it's not the
Landon
um,
Montgomery, you got it.
yeah, there you go. So
East Carolina.
yeah, from East Carolina. So, I mean, some really nice players in this room, some really nice depth, and then obviously we have a couple freshmen coming in that are good too. So,
Yeah.
there's some really good stuff here. Uh, Depth for days. Like what Foster's looking to do with this, and really think that we can make some more progress here. Again, O line dependent though, so we'll have to see how that goes. So.
Hmm.
Those are my thoughts on running back. Anything else to close it out before we close this pod out?
That's it, man. Very interesting taking a look at these players. Very interesting to see what we have rounding out. And with as many departures as we've had, with as many additions as we've had, coaching staff and players, I got to tell you, there are more positions than I thought would be that are true head scratchers, and just
Yeah,
really, really curious to see how it all comes together. Be getting closer to
yeah.
the fall.
Really looking forward to the spring game to try to get a little intel on some of this stuff. Obviously, we'll first off check our notes and see if we were right on what this two deep looks like
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
spring game. We'll see how we did. Some of it obviously is locks, but some of it is not. So we'll have to see what that looks like and see if we predicted accurately. And even if we didn't, that's okay. But ultimately, it's really looking forward to a week from Saturday and what that looks like and how things pan out. It'll be interesting to see. So it'll be good. It'll be good to be in Gainesville and see you, and we'll watch that and go from there. And to that end, our next regularly scheduled pod will be Sunday, actually April 12th. We're going to do it a little early. We're going to be
yeah.
so excited to give you that game breakdown that we're going to do it right away. No, that's not really the reason, but we are going to broadcast do it on Sunday,
I like
so
it.
you'll have it a little earlier after the game. And yeah, from there we will give you our thoughts on what we saw and what we are seeing and where we go from there. So with that, I'll turn it over to you to give any other closing thoughts and sign us off here.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Hey, my two bits faithful. Obviously, the reason why we do this with love and passion out of Gator football and basketball. So we appreciate you tuning
Yes.
in. Give a share, give a thumbs up, give a whatever you want to do. If somebody else finds this interesting, share it with them. We appreciate it getting the word out there. And don't forget, wherever you are and whatever you might be listening, thank you for taking the time, and we will see you around, Gator Nation.